What's up, Change the Channel podcast listeners? My name is Megan Grace, and this is another episode of Change the Channel podcast. Welcome back to the show. I am so excited to be with you today. I am so lit up. I went to TedX Portland, and there's something about being in a room of 3,000 people that are all really just about something, wanting to shift things and make a difference, and listening to all of these powerful speakers talk about sort of their corners of the planet and what they're passionate about and what change they wanted to do. It feels like electricity going through my body today. And so I'm really excited to be spending time with you and to kind of digest a couple stories of things that came up while being at TEDx. One kind of theme that has been coming up for me and was actually highlighted by a couple of my favorite speakers was this idea that, that love and light sort of vibe where, don't ruffle anyone's feathers and try to be really polite and have a lot of patience for everyone and be, somebody. I was laughing the other day. It's like the religious concept of turn the other cheek. But if you're turning the other cheek so many times that you're dizzy and you don't even know what you want anymore because you're so just ready to acquiesce and make everyone around you more comfortable. For me, that's been this thing where I oftentimes lose my voice and I feel viscerally uncomfortable when I take up space or share with someone else that something isn't working for me, or I don't feel good, or I wish, whatever's happening needs to stop. That's a muscle. And when the people pleasing, positivity, love and light, bullshit, it just becomes so bright. It's impossible to even know where you are in the room. And so the story today is about it's kind of the opposite. It's about true self-love and how we can show up for each other in support of true self-love. And so I'm going to take you to the bathroom at the Keller Auditorium where the TED Talk was happening. And I went with my friend. She had a morning that had a variety of frustrations that were kind of, I think, held over from, dynamics within maybe her home, work. She's a new mom. Shout out to new moms that are, giving time for themselves as well. And so we had gotten to the venue and I could just feel that she was like, okay, now it's time for me to be buttoned up and we're going to have a fun time, going from frustration to fun in 30 seconds flat, to not be seen as like, I don't know, a problem because you're not feeling it. You're not in the best mood already. And so we kind of started, navigating our way through, like getting the coffee and getting our bags and kind of getting the lay of the land. And we ended up going up to our seats, and we were going to be in, I think, like the second balcony where, the speakers would probably be seen more on the side screens than even on the stage. And there was somebody waiting at the top and they're like, would you like seats downstairs? They were handing out, seats to kind of fill in the bottom part. And we're like, hell yeah, we want those seats. We're so here for this. And so there was this turning point. It was this moment of like, whoa, things are working. This is good. And so we get ourselves down to that first floor. We don't even really know where the seats are, but we just know that it's on the first floor and not the balcony. And we both were like, we're just going to go to the bathroom, like get ourselves ready. And, as we're in the bathroom, I can still feel that my friend is moving through something, as she should. And, we come out of the stall and she's like, okay, the last thing I'm going to say about this is, and I just looked at her and I go, how about you just say whatever the fuck you want? Not, without any Surgeon General's warning that, this is the end. This is all the time I'll take up. This is all the space, whatever. And it was hilarious because this woman comes out of the bathroom and she goes, hell yeah. She put her arm up in the air and she was just like, that's a good friend. That is a good word. She's like, how about you say whatever the fuck you want to, like why are we waiting for permission about that? Or why do we think that the day is going to be somehow dimmed because you actually put your true self in the room for a minute? And we all just laughed together. And it was like, my friend had, it really just took like 30 seconds for her to just fully say what she wanted to say. And then we were all excited. We were lit up. We were celebrating her. It was kind of this, this sort of sisterhood healing moment. And then this other woman was like, I want you to meet my friend. And so we walked out of the bathroom and we're chatting with her and we were talking about, just the essence of being able to say whatever the fuck you want to in that moment, without apologizing and without the visceral experience of this is probably a problem. Because with the people pleaser archetype, it's like, the channel that we think of all the time is, I know for me, I think I'm always taking up too much space. It doesn't matter if I've taken up no space all day. The second I put myself in the room and in the story, I have already taken up too much space. People are tired of hearing. People have short attention spans. They don't want to listen to me. And so the channel that I hear all the time is, why would I put myself in the room? There's actually going to be less belonging if I'm not, if I'm not happy and positive. And what I learned in that moment was my friend's raw vulnerability, deciding to say, that she just needed 30 more seconds to actually say what she needed to say, brought together this new woman, me, and then we got to meet her other friend as well. And it allowed for connection. And then there was this incredible, incredible speaker. Her name's Lou. She, on her podcast, is a self-proclaimed 53-year-old recovering people pleaser. And she's kind of adding the magic and understanding into finding a self-love revolution, helping women to strip shame from and give themselves permission to live however the fuck they actually want to, and to see what shows up actually and what can be created when that happens. Her story is so potent and so wonderful and so permissioning to be a little bit wacky and a little bit eccentric and a little bit just truly yourself. I was looking on her Instagram later and she was like, oh my gosh, she was having a whole moment about what she was wearing. Like, this is about to be a whole lot of booty cheeks out. And I don't know about this. And like, okay, I think it's okay. I'm not really sure. But you could just feel, and she was sharing vulnerably that like, I don't have any other clothes. I'm about to make this outfit work and I'm feeling a certain kind of way about it. But when she hit the stage, you would have never known. She strutted out there in these like tall, silver, shiny boots with like this leotard type thing that like, thong leotard, but with one whole side of her had this sort of like tutu material, this massive emblem, kind of like chain thing around her neck that said self-love revolution. These big crazy glasses, like square. I think they were kind of like animal print, and a hat that had like a banana and 2 cherries on it. And she just was vibrantly, unapologetically herself. And her message was similar. It was, she had lost herself because she had worked so hard to be the perfect mom, perfect wife, to keep, I think she said that she would play a game with herself. How long would it take her husband to ask her about her day? And it was these slow cues over time that said, it like continue to put yourself last, continue to, try to make everything better for everyone else around you. It's that people pleasing thing. It's the, and then she goes, why didn't I just ask him, I need you to ask me about my day. I'm going through something. But there was like, it's almost like there isn't permission when you're in that people pleasing channel to even put your needs in the room, which is asinine. Like it's a cycle where nobody wins. Her partner didn't win. She wasn't winning. But she said that it had started her on the self-love revolution and, led to her actually, repurposing like a school bus and traveling from Oregon to New York. She's from London, so she had this also really adorable accent. And she was stopping off and chatting with people and just encouraging women to lean into self-love and to start to say the things they need to say, and to experience pleasure in like, a potent way and to come back to themselves. And what's magical about it is she said that she had so many men that would come up to her and be like, thank you for what you're sharing. This helps me know how to care for my partner better and care for my daughters and, all of that stuff. And like, I was talking to her after, and we were talking about how there's a lot of women that are invited to, to be sort of like show up and like be yourself and, do all of this and, to risk and be vulnerable and try to learn about your emotions. And I have to say that I'm not sure if men are having the same experience. There's another book that was talking about masculine, and it was like, being a man is the only, kind of, how do they say it? I'm going to butcher this, but the concept was being a man is the only experience that you can, and that you're told over and over again, you can sort of lose your man status by just not being, quote, man enough, which is wild. And another way that you can drop back into that channel of like, not speaking up for yourself, not saying the things that you need, not putting your needs in the room until all of a sudden it just erupts. And, you have to drive off into the sunset on a bus to try to find yourself again. This whole concept of polite love and lightness is creating a different kind of prison, I feel like, inside of well-meaning people's bodies where they're so disconnected from who they are. They're so disconnected from what they need and so out of practice of asking for either. And I know for myself, I hadn't realized how much that still feels true for me when, like this is a channel that I go back into often, especially since I, became kind of in the healing art space. I think that there's a lot of pressure on people that are meant to, be listeners and healers and space holders and, whatever. That's like somehow your brand is tarnished if you have a bad day or if you don't have an answer for something, or if you actually, I don't know, God forbid, need something yourself. And that is damaging and non-sustainable. And that's when you end up with all of this caregiver burnout, because those that are caring for others don't even really know how to ask for what they need themselves. And that's why watching someone like Lou get up and own her femininity and the power of her body at age 53 and just say, fuck it, this is me, feels so good, because inside of each of us, there is a part of us, I believe, that is craving to be known truly and to not be stuck in the people-pleasing cycle of glossing over things that don't feel good. And just because something is, seems to be fine to other people doesn't mean that it has to be fine to you. You get to have preferences. Whew, let me say that again. You get to have preferences, and those preferences get to be put in the space. You get to say the thing that you need to and share if something isn't going according to what you want. I mean, I don't think that it always means everything shifts and changes, but how freeing is it to actually be able to say out of your mouth so that your body and your nervous system hears that you're willing to say the thing that needs to be said, so that, the universe can start to actually bring you the things that you do want. I started to realize that this pattern of people pleasing in the name of, lightness and easefulness, actually, it's almost like it's leaving these little, like when you drop a pin somewhere and you tell people this is where I'm located. I started to learn that all of these times that I didn't say the thing that I needed to say, it was like setting a pin in my sphere, telling the universe, I'm okay with more of these things finding me. I'm okay with being spoken to this way. I'm okay with being talked over. I'm okay with being triggered in ways that I know is triggering that maybe no one else knows is triggering. Because to me, I'm like, well, I'm a weirdo, or I'm just not evolved enough if that's still bothering me. And what I'm starting to learn and stepping into is, what if I just told people that that's a thing for me? Another thing at TedX that was kind of a beautiful example of this, my friend and I were, mingling during happy hour, or we were getting ready to mingle. Step one, she was like, I don't want to wait in line. Waiting in lines makes me crazy. I can't do lines. So she let me know her need. And so we left a little bit before it was done so that we could be at the front of the line for the drinks. She's like, I just love to be here and watch people sort of come into the space. I would have never known that. And I like to be sort of in the middle of the pack, witnessing, looking around at stuff. We had different needs, but because I knew what she needed, we were able to adjust. And then for me, there's this funny trigger. So I have this, I don't really know exactly where it came from, but I get concerned when I am around clowns or dressed up creatures, things that I can't see your whole face, masks and facial coverings and all of that, to me, distort all of the signals that allow me to understand somebody else's, intentions. I'm not able to read them. So I was standing there, and the TedX bear, with a big cartoon head on or whatever, bumped into my shoulder, and doing nothing wrong, just walking, just being a person. I looked over, I realized it was a dressed up thing. And I had I would say vulnerable, visceral reaction to how much it freaked me out. I completely forgot that was even a thing, nor did I know that I needed to say anything about that. But my friend was so great. She grabbed my hand, and I was like, I don't do dressed up things. I don't do dressed up things. And she goes, yeah, I can totally see that. Let's take 2 steps to the left over here and take a breath for a minute. And she just sat with me in it and let me kind of feel what I needed to. And instead of shaming myself for thinking, oh my gosh, I'm grown. I'm probably even taller than this bear, it's not scary. I allowed my body to cycle through what was a trigger for me. And I would let myself say it out loud that was a thing. And in that moment, it made it so my friend was able to meet me in it. And love, when we're met with love in the middle of stress, it actually helps our brain rewire and kind of code it in as resiliency instead of trauma or instead of a trigger. So what she did in that moment, like me sharing out loud, allowed her to come to me in love. Love allowed us to help my nervous system code the stressful thing as a sorry, I'm totally losing my train of thought. Yeah. So, allowed me to code it as resiliency instead of as, something that was a trigger. And I realized, as silly as that example might sound, there's thousands of different times with the people that we love in our everyday life that we can help show up in love for them when they speak up about what they need, so that we can start rewiring our brains away from loneliness, triggers, and trauma, and activate something powerful like resiliency. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you, y'all, if you can go to a TEDx anywhere, do it. Like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Be in the room with people that are making these what could seem simple, but are also profound shifts in their own life. And like Lou had said, every time a woman moves, powerfully moves to shift the shame in her own life, she permissions another woman to do the same. And that feels like a channel that I am excited to change into. What if we change the channel from love and light and taking up not a lot of space, and to just be so tough within ourselves, to saying what the fuck we need to activating and allowing others to show up for us in love, showing up in authenticity, learning what it is that we do want so we can start asking for it. Then others can show up for us in love. Then even in moments of the most ridiculous to the most intense triggers, that love allows our brain to code it as resiliency over trauma. I am excited to live in a world where there's more of the channel moving through that allows us to activate resiliency in others, authenticity in others, and verbal freedom in others, so that we can learn to be a more loving and kind people with each other. Thank you so much for being with me today and for being in this space and in this room virtually. Every time I record these podcasts, I look sort of out my window and I imagine that you're sitting right there with me. And so please know that even as I'm recording this, it's coming to you wherever you are. Please know that my heart is essentially like, you are sitting across from me. We're having a cup of coffee. We're chatting about the ways that we want the world to be a better place. And so every one of you that subscribes, likes, follows, and shares, just know you mean a whole fucking lot to me. So thanks again. Go forth, change the channel in your life. I'll drop in the comments and the show notes about how you can connect with me on Instagram. Would love to hear if any of this resonates for you. I also am creating a Substack, which is super exciting, talking a little bit more about somatic exercises and somatic ways of living to allow you to stay connected to your body, care for your nervous system, and be able to grow through unstuck spaces bravely. Would love to see you over there. Check the show notes. Let me know. And I will talk to you soon. Much love.